So the first significance of botanical garden is herbarium and library, because almost all of the botanical gardens they used to maintain, or they used to have a well-maintained herbarium and the library from where we used to collect the information about the lots of plant species being collected. Clear? Number two, it also helps in the conservation of endangered species and the genetic diversity of plant species. So it plays very, very important role in the conservation of plants which are on the brink of extinction. Now, since botanical garden used to harbor different varieties or the different species of plants, it also helps in providing knowledge or information in the field of research work also. Clear? Next one, the plants which are present in the botanical garden used to purify the air. It helps in improving the environment of the particular place, and it also serves as a habitat for a large number of animals also. And lots of people used to visit the botanical garden, all right, which comes under the aesthetic appeal. And next, last one is that botanical garden also help in introducing the different varieties of plants which are of economic importance. They also help in the exchange of seeds and the plant materials, okay, between the two botanical gardens. So the significance of botanical gardens in terms of taxonomic study. Next one, zoological park. So all of you have visited the zoo, right, where animals are being kept, but those habitat in which the animals are being kept is not their natural habitat. We'll just try to create the habitat in an artificial way, which are present in case of their wild habitats. Okay, so zoological park is an enclosed place where wild animals are kept without any human control and in the surrounding akin to their natural habitat. That means the habitat will be made similar to that of the natural habitats. Yeah. Now, the most important thing, the aims of zoo is mainly involved in the conservation of many endangered species of wild animals through captive breeding. For example, mainly in Darjeeling, we'll find the Darjeeling Zoo, how you heard of that, which is mainly famous for the conservation of snow leopard and red panda, because those are mainly on the brink of extinction. They are endangered species. Okay, so mainly the most important thing or the aim of zoo is not only to keep the wild animals in an enclosed place, not only for the being of fun, sorry, not for, like providing education or a place to visit by the visitors, but the most important thing is that the animals which are being kept in the zoos are also being conserved, because in the wild they are on the brink of extinction, so they needs to be conserved, their population needs to be increased. So therefore, by the help of captive breeding in the zoological park, the population of those endangered species are also being increased. Okay, so the most important aim of zoological park is to conserve the endangered animals. Not only that, it also helps in the captive breeding so that the offspring can be produced in the zoological park, so that their numbers can be increased. Clear? Then, next thing, to conserve the wildlife, special attention is being given to the protection of natural habitats and ecosystem and the captive breeding of wild animals. So next thing is that we have to conserve, we have to protect the wildlife. So in order to protect the wildlife, what can be done is that the natural habitat of the animals can be protected. Clear? And ecosystem, the place where they're being found, it has to be protected, and the captive breeding of wild animals need to be done. So in zoological park, all right, wild animals are being kept, and the habitats are like those which are mainly present in the natural habitats. We will try to create the same natural habitats in the zoo also. And mainly we used to conserve the endangered species and we used to go for the captive breeding. Clear? Now, what are the activities which are carried out in the zoological park? First one is animal shows and the rides, which are being done in most of the zoos. Clear? Like in larger zoos, we can find animal shows and the rides. Then there are lots of animals which are present in the zoological park, which can be used for the research purpose. Clear? So if anyone needs any information about a particular animal, Then here you can visit the zoo and can get the information about the particular animal, or any information of any type of species can be created from the zoological park. Number third is the recreation centers, because most of the individuals, most of the public, right, they used to visit the zoo mainly as a thing for refreshment. Okay, then in the zoo you'll find the gift shop. You can buy a souvenir, right, which you can keep it with you so that it will give you the like sort of you keep the memory that we have visited particular zoo at a particular time. So in the gift shop you can buy those souvenir also. So it's just the simple activity which can be done in the zoo, but kindly remember the aims of the zoo. Alright, the most important aim of zoo is to conserve the animals which are on the brink of extinction. Those animals needs to be protected, and the captive breeding is also being done in the zoological park in order to increase the number of offspring of those endangered species. Okay, just remember the aims of zoological park. Then from your textbook, page number 1.20, go to the table number 1.7 and this is the list of the major zoological parks in India. Clear? So go to the table number 1.7, page number 1.20. Now next one, the next taxonomical aids which is being used for the study of taxonomical aids is number one. Last number is Geological Museum. Okay, so we'll go through the last taxonomical tools which are being used for taxonomical study, that is geological museums. Now, museum is a place which is used for the preservation, storage, and exhibition of inanimate objects pertaining to the animal life. Now, what do you mean by inanimate objects? Inanimate means non-living objects. Okay, mainly in museum we used to see the artificial animal. They are not living. Clear? They are inanimate. They are non-living objects. It simply resembles like that of an animal. Clear? So in museum, what we find is that we used to get information for the preservation, storage, and exhibition of inanimate objects that pertains to the animal life. So we are not actually seeing the real animals, but we are seeing those inanimate objects here, which resembles the particular place or habitat where the animal survives. All right. So those particular things we can get, or those information we can get from the museum. Next thing, the aims of Zoological Museum. Now, what is the aim of museums? Museums gives us the information about the animals, more information about the animals than the zoological park do. So how? Let's see. It educates the people about the animal life. Number one, it gives information to the people about the life of an animal because it resembles the habitat where the animals are present. It shows the feeding habitat of the animal also. So it gives more information to the people about the life of an animal. Okay, it will create the interest and the love for the animal to the common people. The most important thing is that it gives us information that animal share the earth with us. We are not only the one who used to survive on this planet Earth. With us, animals are also there who wish to live with us, wish to share the place with us. So therefore, we should learn to coexist. We should learn to live together with those animals. All right. And next thing is that since extinction of animals will disturb the balance of the nature, we should never ever exploit the overuse of those animal life. We used to protect the life of an animal. We have to conserve, we have to protect the wildlife. Okay, so all those information we'll get from the Zoological Museum. Now, let's see the objects, exhibits, and the activities which are done in the Zoological Museum. And remember, in Zoological Museums, we are finding the inanimate objects which resembles to that of the animal life. So not real animals are being kept in the museums, but inanimate objects are being kept over there. Okay, so let's see the objects, exhibits, and the activity which are done in the Geological Museum. First one, preserved animals. So amphibians, fishes, okay, non-chordates like sponges, cnidarians, worm, mollusks, and arthropods are kept in glass jars. So if you have visited the museums, you have seen those molluscans, you have seen those fishes, okay, not non-chordates, and I think you have even seen those moths and butterflies were being kept. Right. So mainly they are preserved in 25% formalin and 70% ethyl alcohol. So kindly remember this thing. Okay, so they are mainly preserved. So those amphibians, fishes, non-chordates, they are preserved in 25% formalin and 70% ethyl alcohol. So once the school reopens, we'll go to the laboratory and we'll see those preserved species. All right, we used to have those preserved species in our laboratory. We'll visit the lab and we'll see those preserved species. All right, the next thing, stuffing. Birds, reptiles, beasts are stuffed and displayed. That means stuffed per specimen looks like an original living animals. Right? The stuffed animals is supported on a stand which itself is mounted on a board. That means inside, like, all the vital organs from the body of an animals will be removed. Clear? Only the external parts will be there. So we'll go with the stuffing. Alright, we'll go with the stuffing. We'll put some stuffs inside the body of an animal so that it looks like a living animal. Clear? So the art of preparing and mounting of animal skin in its natural form is called taxidermy, and the person who is skilled in stuffing is called taxidermist. Clear? Because it's made in art, because we are going for the stuffing of those animals so that it can look like an original living animal. So this art of preparing of, or mounting or less stuffing of those animals is called taxidermy, and the individual organism or the person who is involved in this stuffing or skilled in stuffing is called taxidermist. Okay, next activity is stuffed heads, because you have seen the head of a tiger, leopard, deer in case of museum. It's also called stuffing only. Okay, so stuffed heads also being seen in the museum. Number 4, beaks, feet, eggs, feathers, and nest of birds also can be seen in the museum, because the feeding habits of different birds are different, because these two have different types of beaks and the feet, which will we show the different mode of their feeding and perching. Okay, so even the eggs of the birds are also different. They are different in terms of color. Okay, in terms of feather designs will be different in case of birds, and brilliance of colors and nest will also be different in different species of birds. So all the structures are exhibited, are being shown in the museum in a glass showcase. The next one is fossils. What is fossils? The dead remains of plants and animals. Clear, is called fossils. Over here you can see the remains of extinct birds and animals and plants are called fossils. Mainly in museum you can see the dead remains of those animals. Alright, from where you can study the past history of the animals or the ancestral history of those animals. Clear? Then number 6, elephant tusk and molluscan cells are also being displayed in the museums. They are being played in the glass showcase. Okay, which shows a great variety of form and color. And you can see over here the elephant tusk are appear, or the elephant tusk are upper incisors, which make interesting exhibits in museum, because most of the museums they used to keep the elephant tusk also, which means upper incisor. Then number 7, you can see over here animal products which are also been displayed or being shown in the museums, like honeycombs, okay, beeswax, you can see honey, silk, mud nest, all these things can be seen in the museum. Then model and charts of different species of animals are also being exhibited in the museums. Then film shows are also being shown in the museums, from where we can get the information about different species of animals. Alright, so these are those common objects and activities we have done in Geological Museum. It's not a tough thing. Once you go through it, it will be clear for you. Okay, it's not a tough topic over here. So you can simply go through it and it will be clear for you. So here we have finished about the different types of taxonomical tools which are being used. Alright, simply first one is herbarium, which is very important. Number two, botanical garden. Number three is zoological park. Number four is Geological Museum. So simply just remember the definitions and just go through the significance of those particular taxonomical aids being used. Clear? Okay, next one. Taxonomic key. We'll simply go through definition only. What is a key? Now, key is a set of alternate characters that help in the identification of plants and animals. Listen carefully. What is key? Definition simply. Key is a set of alternate characters that help in the identification of plant and animal. Alternate means opposite. So here we'll take two characteristics. For example, let's say mammals. Alright, let's do the character, two characters. Presence of hair and absence of hairs. So two characters are there, I've taken. Presence of hair and absence of hair in order to identify the species. Clear? So out of these two characters, one will be selected and the second characters will be eliminated. Suppose we are looking for an animal which possesses a hair in their body. Clear? So we have discovered new species and that new species possesses a hair in the body. So out of the two characters, presence of hair and absence of hair, which character will be selected? Presence of hair will be selected. Okay, which shows that the specimen or the animal which has been discovered is a mammal. And the second character, absence of hair, will be eliminated. Okay, so they are mainly the key. So key is a set of character that will help in the identification of plants and animals. Suppose in case of plant, let's say it bears flower, it does not bears flower. Suppose we have discovered a plant which bears flower. So out of the two characters, one will be selected. Which one? Which bears flower. So plant is mainly an angiosperm. Because angiosperm means flowering plant. So out of the two characters, one will be selected, the other one will be eliminated. So key means set of alternative characters which are used for the identification of plants and animals. Okay, so out of the two characters, one will be selected and this other one will be eliminated. Clear? Okay, so there's also a species key for the identification of species in a genus. Then also we have got the genus key for the identification of genus in a family. Then we have got a family key for the identification of family in an order and so on. So we have got different types of key. We have got species key, we have got genus key, okay, we have got order key. So that those particular key or the alternate characters will help us in identification of plants and animals. Clear? And we have got mainly two types of key, indented key and the bracketed key. So go with the figure number 1.23. No need to go in detail, simply go through the definition. What do you mean by key? Key is a set of alternate character that will help in the identification of plant and animals. Out of the two character, alternate character, one will be selected and the other one will be rejected. Example, suppose let's say a plant is being discovered. Okay, we will take two character. It bears flower, it does not bears flower. It's mainly for the family angiosperm. So if the plant which is being discovered bears flower, so there we will go with the character it bears flower. So the character will be selected and the second character it doesn't bear flower will be eliminated. In terms of animal, I believe that for the class Mammalia, presence of hairs and absence of hairs. If the discovered animal bears hairs in the body, then the character presence of hair will be selected and absence of hair will be eliminated. Okay, so by this way, the key will help in the identification of plants and animals. Clear? Now next one, concept of or the systems of biological classification. Go with the page number 1.25. Okay, so here we'll discuss about the I will discuss the three systems of biological classifications with three only. Clear? We'll discuss about artificial system of classification. We'll discuss about natural system of classification, and we'll talk about phylogenetic system of classification. Okay, these things are there in the syllabus. We'll only go with three. Now, artificial system of classification was mainly proposed by Pliny, Pliny, kindly remember the name, okay, Pliny. He proposed the artificial system of classification, and this system of classification was mainly based on the superficial similarity of an organism. That means external similarity of an organism. By just simply seeing the organisms, by seeing the place of habitat, we are trying to classify the organisms. Clear over here? So, for example, you can see over here. So how can we classify the animals on these systems? So on the basis of flying ability, clear on. So over here we are taking the characteristics flying. There are a few animals which can fly, and there are other animals which can fly. So on the basis of flying abilities, animals were divided into two categories. What were they? Animals which can fly and animals which cannot fly. Clear? But over here, this particular system of classification has got disadvantage because it cannot differentiate between birds, insects, and bats, because all these three species they can fly, right? But there's difference in their morphology, in their behavior, in their habitat. Clear? So artificial system of classification was discovered by Pliny, were simply based on the superficial characteristics or the similarities. Clear? And it was based upon their habitats, the place where they are found on air, water, or land. For example, given over there, like animals were divided into two groups based on their ability of flying. Animals which can fly and animals which cannot fly. But there is disadvantage, it cannot distinguish or differentiate between birds, bats, and insects, because all these species can generally fly. Okay. In terms of plants, on the basis of their habitat, plants were divided into herbs, shrubs, and trees. And on the basis of lifespan, for how long they can survive, into annual, 1 year, biennial, 2 years, or more than 2 years perennials. Okay, so these were the types or the modes which were taken into considerations for the artificial system of classification of organism. After the artificial system classification, the new system came into existence, which is called natural system of classifications, where we will take into consideration the natural affinities among the organism, and those affinities were simply based on the study of their anatomy, the body features, morphology, study of the body form, their altai structure, and their cytochemistry. So over here, not only the external body feature was taken into account, not only their superficial character was taken into account, but the internal structures, altai structures, their anatomy, their body form, their cytological studies. Okay, all those things were taken into considerations, and this particular system was proposed by John Ray. Okay, remember the name. John Ray proposed the natural system of classifications, and Pliny proposed the artificial system of classification. Clear? Then last one is phylogenetic system of classification. The type of classification is simply based on the evolutionary history of a particular species. So over here we'll simply study the evolutionary history of an organism. We will not go into the superficial study, or let's say into the study of their body features or morphological forms, but we'll just study their evolutionary history, their ancestral studies. We'll go through it. Okay, so whenever the classification is based on the evolutionary history of an organism, then we used to call it phylogeny. Clear? And the classification of organisms based on the evolution is called evolutionary or phylogenetic classification. So what is phylogeny? The evolutionary history of a species is called phylogeny, and when the classification of a species is based on evolutionary history or based on evolution, then that is called phylogenetic system of classification or evolutionary classification. Clear? So where you can see the name Jean Baptiste Lamarck, right? He said that species gradually changes and give rise to new species, because evolution is a very long and linear process, and it occurs continuously, where there will be formation of new species from the pre-existing one. Clear? Then Charles Darwin has proposed the origin of species in his book called Origin of Species by Natural Selection, where he has emphasized more importance on the role of nature in the formation of species. Clear? So here we have finished the artificial system of classification, natural system of classification, and the phylogenetic system of classification. So go through it. Okay, so today we have learned about the aids for taxonomy studies, where we have learned about herbarium, botanical gardens, zoological park, and museums. We have gone through the definitions and the roles or aims. Kindly go through it. Okay, then we have learned about the key. Right, we also learned about the key. Also, what do you mean by key? We have learned that key means a set of alternate characters which is used for the identification of organism. That means both plants and animal species. Okay. Then we have learned about the system of biological classifications. We have learned about artificial system of classification, natural system of classification, and the phylogenetic system of classification. So here we have finished the first chapter. So whatever we have done in the first chapter, only go through it. Okay, because I have told you that the syllabus has been reduced, so most of the topics which are in there in these chapters has been removed. Okay, so whatever I have taught you, only go through that particular topic. Clear? So from the next class we'll begin with the second chapter. Till then, stay safe. Thank you.